Enter script for scene 1. There is a child in a classroom right now, who has given up on reading. Not because they cannot think. Not because they are not intelligent. Not because the story is too hard. Because the story is the wrong shape for the way their mind works. I know this child. I taught this child for 13 years, in grades 1 through 5, at elementary schools in California. I saw them every September. And I watched what happened when I stopped trying to force the wrong text on the right learner, and started finding the text that fit. That is what Opening Young Minds is. It is an educational content series, built on a single conviction, that every child is already a learner. That every child is already reading, the films they love, the comics they cannot put down, the song lyrics they have memorized without trying, the signs and logos of the world they move through every day. Our job is not to teach them to read. Our job is to find the reading they are already doing, and build the bridge from there to the academic literacy that their futures require. This course is that bridge, and I am glad you are here. My name is Carlos Menendez. I am a Vietnam veteran, a retired chief information officer, and a 13-year elementary school teacher. I wrote the book Learning Beyond the Classroom. And this channel, this course, this community is where that book comes alive. In the next few minutes I want to walk you through exactly what Opening Young Minds is, what it will give you and how it works. Whether you are a classroom teacher, a parent, a home educator, or someone who simply believes that learning should not be limited to what fits inside a textbook, this overview is for you. Let us get started. Let me tell you where this came from. I was not a good student. I want to say that plainly, because everything I built eventually grew from that truth. I arrived in this country as a child who did not speak English, who did not fit the shape of the classroom I was placed in, and who found most of what he needed to know, not in school, but in libraries, in movie theaters, and in the pages of comic books. My grandfather used to read to us from the great classic novels, Dumas, Hugo, Dickens gathered around him in El Salvador, where I was born. Those sessions were not lessons. They were events. My father, Roberto Arturo Menendez, was a prize-winning writer. Storytelling was never far from the center of our family's life. So when I eventually became a teacher after the Army, after nearly 3 decades in information systems, after earning my credentials from Cal State LA, I brought all of that with me into the classroom. And what I discovered is that the children who were hardest to reach were almost always reachable through the same things that had reached me. A great story, told in a medium they cared about. A child who would not touch a reading passage, would read a comic cover to cover. A child who would not write a paragraph, would write a song lyric. A child who had given up on school, would lean forward in her chair when I put a cereal box on her desk, and asked her to read it. Opening Young Minds grew from those 13 years of watching that happen, over and over, with different children, in different classrooms, until I was certain enough of what I had seen to write it down, teach it systematically, and share it with every educator and parent who needed it. This is not a theory. This is a classroom. And you are welcome in it. What you will learn, I want to be specific about what you will take away from Opening Young Minds. Because vague promises from an educator are a bad sign, and you deserve better than that. By the time you have worked through this course and the resources that come with it, you will be able to do 7 specific things. 1. You will understand why media-based learning works at the neurological level, not just that it works. Why? Because when you understand the science, you can explain it to a skeptical administrator, a concerned parent, or a colleague who thinks you are showing movies instead of teaching. 2. You will have a complete framework for analyzing any media text, a film, a comic, a song lyric, an advertisement, a television episode, using the learning tree. 6 branches that gather information. 3 roots, could, should, and would, that go deeper into evaluation, imagination, and personal connection. 3. You will have fully developed lesson plans for 6 different media types, each one standards aligned and differentiated for ELL learners and struggling readers. 4. You will know how to assess media-based learning in ways that capture what students actually know and can do. Portfolios, Socratic seminars, creative projects, and the learning tree organizers in the companion workbook. 5. You will have a semester integration roadmap, a practical week-by-week plan for bringing this approach into any classroom, home, or learning environment without overwhelming yourself or your students. 6. You will understand how to respond to every common objection from administrators, from parents, from colleagues, with evidence, confidence, and the alignment documentation to back it up. 7. And this is the one that matters most. You will see your students differently. You will look at the child who is mouthing song lyrics, and see a close reader. You will look at the child absorbed in a comic, and see a literary analyst. You will never again mistake engagement with entertainment, or disengagement with inability. That is what this course is designed to give you. Let me show you how it is built. You are not doing this alone. One of the things I learned in 13 years of teaching is that the best professional development does not happen in isolation. It happens in conversation. It happens when one teacher tells another what worked and what did not. It happens when a parent shares what changed at home after one lesson. It happens when a learner discovers, unexpectedly, that they are capable of something they had written off as beyond them. Opening Young Minds is built to support that kind of conversation at every level. The book is the foundation, always available, always there when you need to return to the theory or the lesson plans. The companion workbook is your daily tool, the graphic organizers, the lesson templates, the reflection pages that make each day's practice visible and documentable. This channel is your ongoing professional development, new videos that apply the framework to new texts, new media types, and new classroom challenges. Every video is a lesson you can watch, adapt and use. The website cmeopeningyoungminds.com is the hub that connects all of it. You will find additional resources, downloadable materials, and updates on new content there. And the comment section of every video on this channel is a place for real conversation. I read the comments, I respond when I can. If you have a question about applying a strategy to a specific grade level, a specific medium, a specific student, ask it. Someone in this community has faced the same challenge. That is what a community is for. You brought the commitment. Opening Young Minds brings the framework, the resources, and the community together. That is enough to change what happens in your classroom, or at your kitchen table, starting Monday morning. How we learn together. Everything in Opening Young Minds is built around one analytical framework. I call it the learning tree. Picture a tree. Its branches reach up into the light, gathering information, gathering evidence, gathering the raw material of understanding. Its roots go down into the dark, reaching into the deeper places that surface-level observation cannot access. The 6 branches of the learning tree are the journalist's questions. Who, where, when, why, and how. These are the entry point into any text in any medium. Who is this story about? What is happening? Where and when does it take place? And why does that context matter? Why did the creator make the choices they made? How is meaning being constructed through the specific tools of this medium? These 6 questions will surface the information. But they will not take you to the depth that genuine critical thinking requires. That is what the roots are for. The 3 roots of the learning tree go deeper than the branches can reach. The first root is could. Could this story have ended differently? Could this character have made another choice? Could this situation exist in the real world today? Could opens 2 doors simultaneously, imagination and transfer, and it is the most accessible route for every learner in the room, including the quietest ones. The second root is should. Should this character have made this choice? Should we as a community accept what this text is telling us? Should this story be told differently? Should ask students to form a judgment, to name a standard and defend a position. That is the beginning of genuine argument. The third root is would. Would you have made the same choice? Would you have the courage this person showed? Would this story feel different if you were living it? Would makes the analysis personal. It is the moment when a text stops being something a student reads, and becomes something a student lives. Could opens the door, should deepens it into judgment. Would holds the student accountable on the other side. Every lesson in this course, every video on this channel, every organizer in the workbook, uses the learning tree. Once you know it, you will never analyze a text without it. And once your students know it, neither will they. The OIM Learning Arc Opening Young Minds is designed to be self-paced, but it is not designed to be random. There is a sequence that works, and I want to walk you through it, so you can plan your engagement in a way that builds momentum rather than overwhelm. The arc follows the same structure as the book, because the book was written in the order that the learning needs to happen. Start with the foundations. Read chapters 1 and 2 of the book, or watch the corresponding OIM videos, before you try any of the lesson strategies. Understanding why this approach works, at the cognitive and research level, is what gives you the confidence to use it, and the language to defend it. Do not skip this step. 1 week. Move into one medium at a time. Choose the medium that is closest to your students' existing interests, film, comics, music, whatever they already love, and spend 2 weeks there. Read the corresponding chapter in the book. Watch the OIM videos for that medium. Try one lesson, reflect on it using the workbook's post-lesson reflection page. Then try another. Build across media. Once you have tried 2 or 3 media types, you will begin to see the learning tree doing its work across all of them. At this point, start connecting lessons across media, using a film to introduce a theme, a song lyric to deepen it, a graphic novel to extend it. This is where the approach becomes a curriculum rather than a collection of individual lessons. Reach the culminating project. By the end of the arc, roughly 1 semester of consistent engagement, students should be able to apply the learning tree independently to any text in any medium. That independence is the goal. That is what lifelong critical literacy looks like. And when you see it in a student who 6 months ago had given up on reading, You will know exactly what it cost, and what it was worth. How we measure what actually matters. Assessment in Opening Young Minds follows a simple but important principle. Measure what you are actually trying to build, not just what is easy to count. Standardized tests measure a narrow slice of what students know and can do. They measure it efficiently. They do not measure it completely. And for the specific skills this course builds, close reading across media, evidence-based argument, the ability to analyze, evaluate, and create a fill-in-the-bubble test, is genuinely not the right instrument. So Opening Young Minds uses what the book calls alternative assessment, and alternative does not mean easier. It means more accurate. The first assessment tool is the Learning Tree Organizer, from the Companion Workbook. When a student completes a learning tree for any media text, all 6 branches and all 3 roots, with specific evidence in every box, you have a visible, documented record of exactly where their analytical thinking is, and where it needs to grow. It is not a test, it is a map. The second tool is the portfolio. Over the course of a unit or a semester, students collect their best work, annotated lyrics, graphic organizers, original comic pages, written reflections, and select from that collection to demonstrate growth, range, and depth. At the end, they write a reflection on what they learned, and how their thinking changed. That reflection is itself a learning outcome. The third tool is the Socratic Seminar. Students develop and defend analytical positions using textual evidence, in a structured discussion that anyone in the room can observe and assess. It measures critical thinking, oral argument, evidence selection, and the ability to listen and respond to a competing idea, all simultaneously, all in real time. The fourth tool is the Creative Project. Original song lyrics, a comic creation, an advertisement analysis, and redesign, a comparative film essay. These assess learning through production, through making something that would not exist without the knowledge the lesson built. That is the highest level of cognitive engagement available in a classroom. And it produces work that students are genuinely proud of. The Companion Workbook has a complete set of rubrics for all of these assessment methods, already formatted and ready for classroom use. You do not have to build the assessment from scratch. The framework is there. Your job is to use it honestly, and to let what you see change how you teach. A final word: I want to close with the thing that started all of this. There is a child somewhere tonight who is doing something that looks like wasting time. They are watching a movie for the 3rd time, following every plot thread with the focused attention they never bring to a reading passage. They are deep inside a graphic novel, their eyes moving across panels with a speed and comprehension their teacher has never seen in a classroom. They are mouthing the lyrics to a song they have memorized without trying, parsing the metaphors, without knowing that is what the act is called. They are not wasting time. They are reading. They are analyzing. They are thinking. They are waiting for an educator who knows how to see that. That educator is you. You would not be watching this video if it were not. The tools are in the book. The organizers are in the workbook. The lessons are on this channel. The community is in the comments, on the website, in the next classroom over from yours, where another teacher is trying the same thing and finding the same results. Education must be as wide as the human beings it serves. Human beings are wide. Our methods should be too. I taught for 13 years. I built this for the years after. I built it for the child who is waiting. And I built it for you, the educator who has not given up on finding them. Go build the bridge.